We've got 3 updated Reddit stories for you guys today, starting it off hot with I caught my twin doing something, but she says it's no big deal. This post has, I you not, 15 updates. Some of them are mini, some of them are in the comments, but there are 2 really long updates in them as well. But stick around because we got 2 more stories for you, including I just found out I ruined my sister's life by being the cause of her breakup with her long-term partner, as well as I've been in love with my best friend since I first met him. It's not going away and I don't know how to deal with it. All right, chat, let's lock in here and read some Reddit. I caught my twin doing something, but she says it's no big deal. Editor Sarby here. I wanted to add that this is a very heavy story. I hate to spoil this, but it does involve eating disorders. If that's going to trigger you, I recommend skipping this story. Original post, September 27th, 2024. I'm 15 and female, but the one with symptoms is my twin sister who is also 15. We are fraternal, if that makes a difference. She's 5'5.5" and she was 135 pounds at the start of cross-country season when we got our physicals, but she's visibly smaller now, and I don't know what she weighs anymore. For medical history, she gets migraines and has medicine for that. So we are twins and we look super similar. It's obvious we are twins, but I've always been shorter and skinnier. I was a lot smaller than her at birth and basically never caught up. But that's the only real difference physically. She always liked being the taller one because she's 3 minutes older too. When we got our physicals in July though, she got super upset that I weighed 113 pounds and she was 135. She's also 2.5 inches taller than me though, and the doctor said our weights were totally perfect. The doctor could tell she was upset and told her not to worry about her weight because she looks beautiful and she's healthy, and she said she wasn't worried, but I could tell she was lying. And honestly, the night before, we had eaten at this Greek restaurant with massive portions, and it was probably poop weight. Not to be gross, but yeah. A couple days later, she asked our mom to buy grapefruit. Our mom is well-meaning and overall a really good mom, but she did modeling when she was younger, and she's a complete almond mom. Oh no, dude, that's the worst. Not only do these sisters seem like a little bit over-competitive, but then having a mom like that in the mix, I can already tell where this is going. She's always on a diet and talking about how fat she is when she's not, so she was super happy that Isabel wanted to eat healthier. Isabel explained this whole diet plan of only eating good foods and being super healthy. Okay, in case nobody was following along because she didn't really announce it, I'm guessing Isabel is OP's twin sister. Isabel explained this whole diet plan of only eating good foods and being super healthy. It sounded stupid to me, but I wanted to be supportive. She said she wanted to get to 125, which her weight before was fine, but that was still pretty reasonable, so I tried to be supportive. She went unhinged. She started watching nutrition influencers on TikTok and Insta. So she started off eating this diet of grapefruit and coffee for breakfast, a salad and a half a cup of dry Cheerios at lunch, and grilled chicken breast with honey mustard and grapes for dinner. After like 2 weeks of this, I found her in our closet eating an entire sleeve of Oreos and a plate of nachos and a tortilla covered in melted chocolate chips, and she was sobbing. I told her she wasn't eating enough, and that's why her brain made her do that. I helped her clean up and went for a walk, and I thought she was done with the diet, but then she was searching how to prevent binges, which led her to following this Instagram model named Caroline Diesler or something like that. Anyway, she's a vegan, and then my sister decided this is her goal body, and she's going to be vegan too. My mom was super supportive of this. Over the last 2 months, the amount she's eating keeps getting less and less, and now she's living off almost exclusively fruit and honey roasted almonds and coconut yogurt with the occasional lemon juice and olive oil salad. She told my mom she doesn't want bad food in the house. This sucks for me because I don't want to live off of rabbit food. But also, I'm really worried about my sister. This might be a tangent chat, but I kind of want to look up this influencer. Caroline Diesler? I don't know, chat. I feel like I can't say shit for shit about a woman's body. So I don't know. She's doing some really weird stuff with her food. She chews everything so long, it must be paste. She uses tiny plates for everything and refuses to eat off red or yellow plates. And she spends ages arranging her food in patterns. She won't eat if she can't drink water with it. Okay, I actually agree with that. Honestly, you should be eating and drinking water at the same time. She also barely goes to stuff with our friends and me anymore, and she says it's because she's tired or has homework, but she mostly avoids things that involve eating, so I feel like that's probably what she's actually doing. Her times at cross country seem getting worse instead of better, and she looks miserable when we're running, and she's so angry lately. And I'm pretty sure it's because she's hungry. I keep telling my mom I think something isn't right, and she tells me jealousy is an ugly look. So this all leads us to last Friday. We were at a football game with friends, and I forgot to charge my phone. I wanted to show one of our friends the dress I was wearing for homecoming because she wasn't in the group chat. So I took my sister's phone. I opened her pictures to find the dress, and there were pictures of her that she took in her underwear, but they didn't look like nudes. It was like she was trying to see how bony she was, and she looks awful. But I knew she would be embarrassed if our friends saw this, and so I closed out of photos and opened Safari to just Google the store I bought the dress at, and I opened to this forum about eating disorders. I pretended I didn't see it. I looked up the dress, and then I gave my sister her phone and tried not to act weird all night. So then in bed later, I looked the site up. It's awful. It's seriously awful. It's people talking about losing weight and having competitions and posting their skinny bodies and wanting to be unhealthy. They share tips on not eating and eating less and not getting caught. I don't know what my sister's username is. I didn't have time to see, so I couldn't find her profile. But no one on the site was healthy. I was crying reading it because it's freaking awful. God, that's scary, man. Like, I'm just imagining having a daughter and like her finding this site is So the next day when we were walking home from the gas station, I offered her some of my bar and she said no. I asked again and she said no. She just wanted her Celsius. And I told her I thought she needed to eat something. She flipped out at me and told me to stop being pushy and weird. And I told her I found the website. At first she said she was researching for a school project. And I was like, Izzy, what project? We have all the same classes. She got super pissed at me and she's barely been talking to me all week and said if I tell anyone, she'll never talk to me again. I looked up eating disorders. I'm not trying to make this about me, but it says they can be really bad for you and make you infertile. It looks like a big deal. And not eating can kill you, right? People die of that. I've been an absolute mess for the last week thinking about this. She's ignoring me, acting like everything is fine, and eating almost nothing. I'm sorry this got long, I just don't know what to do. She told me to let it go because she's fine and just being healthier, and she'll increase her food when cross-country season is done because she can't run if she's full. That doesn't equal... No. What? That's not healthy, chat. Like, if you're doing more exercise, you should be eating more. It's not the other way around. Oh my God. Especially if you're running, but that sounds stupid. She told me everyone diets. Our mom has literally always been on a diet. Pretty much everyone in our friend group has been on a diet or tried to lose weight, and I'm overreacting. This is the only place I knew I could ask doctors about this without having to tell them who I am. Could this make my sister sick or even kill her? Is it my fault because I'm smaller and she felt bad? How can I help her? She's so angry and so mean lately, and I'm really scared for her. I don't want her to get hurt, but I also don't want her to hate me. What thread was this in? r/askdocs and ask psychiatry. Let's cover all bases here. This is not OP's fault at all. If anything, it's the mother's fault here. Like, the mother is the one who's encouraging this and sending them down that spiral. Damn, bro. I mean, I've talked to, dated, been friends with a lot of gals who had eating disorders, and I mean, a lot of the time it's like parents have forced them to go to, what are they called, chat? They literally like send you to a facility. I don't even know if it's like a psych. Is it the psych ward? It's not the psych ward. It's some sort of psychiatry thing. Yep, they send you to grippy sock jail, psych ward. When you don't feed your body starts to eat itself. Organs shut down, bones become brittle, cognitive function slows. It's terrifying and even scarier when someone is willingly doing it to themselves. Holy shit, Sammy, I didn't even know that. We got some relevant comments here. Commenter, if your mother won't help with this, I'd get another trusted family member to help as well. This can be dangerous and sounds like an ED. You're a great sister for worrying about her and seeking help. OOP, is it dangerous enough to call our dad over? He's like a Christmas/birthday dad. I mean, if he's just a Christmas birthday dad, he probably isn't going to help that much. This person says, I'd consider reaching out to dad if your mom is unreasonable or minimizes what's happening. OOP, that's the worst part. He's not far away. We've just only seen him on our birthday and Christmas, LMAO. He lives like 2 miles away. I'll try to find a time to talk to my mom when my sister isn't around. The times I brought it up when she's around in the past, they both accused me of being dramatic and jealous. Plus, my sister threatened to tell her mom I vaped a couple times if I brought it up again. Commenter, you need to find another adult that's dependable. It doesn't sound like your dad is present in your life. It doesn't sound like your mom cares enough or is too ignorant or wants to cover her eyes and pretend everything is okay. OOP, my parents are super young and kind of immature. They're both 33 and 32, and they're 15, so they had them at 18 and 17. Holy shit. So I try not to be too hard on them. Like, at least they didn't delete us, I guess. I'm sorry, that's just a really funny way to talk about abortion. Hey babe, you ready to Control-Alt-Delete that baby in your tummy or what? Like, I'm sorry, Chad. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. But also, I kind of think maybe my mom has problems too and actually thinks it's normal. I've just been really anxious trying to figure this out, and I'm afraid something bad will happen to my sister if she keeps doing this. Commenter, I don't blame you at all, but they need to grow the fuck up and be parents. You say you're 15, so your parents had you at 18 and 17, and I am assuming they are divorced or never married since they don't live together, and you're deadbeat, and I'm being kind here. Dad isn't around enough to notice the problem or care. OOP, they're not really bad or abusive, but I think my mom almost sees us more like we're all the same age than she's our mom. But yeah, I really wish she'd be more of an adult, at least for this. Commenter, do you have any other adults in your life that you trust that could help? An aunt or uncle, grandparents, or teacher? OOP, we haven't talked to my mom's side of the family since we were like 5. My dad's parents we know, but not super well. But they're not bad or anything, so I think they might help. My sister seems like she really likes our math teacher. Would it be weird if I told her? I think that's the in right there. You tell the math teacher that your sister really likes, like, hey, maybe you've noticed this, but like coming from a family member, I think there's a problem here, and I need a trusted adult to speak with her that the sister respects and actually looks up to. I think that's the best way that you're gonna potentially get through her thick skull here. We do have a mini update in the comments 2.5 hours later. OOP, tonight she's been using the stepper thing to step up and down while we are watching a show, and I didn't say anything because I don't want to make her suspicious or more mad, but then she kind of tripped on it and sat down and put her head in her lap and said she was going to throw up. I had her lay down and got her some water and a bucket, but she's all sweaty and said she doesn't feel good and thinks she has a stomach thing. But could this be from her not eating? Is there a different way to help if she's sick than if it's because of the eating stuff? I was rubbing her back and it's all bumpy and bony and I'm really freaked out. I'm guessing a commenter said it must be blood sugar, and then OOP replied, our mom is asleep. I had to argue with her to get her to suck on a Jolly Rancher. Hopefully it helps the blood sugar thing if that's it. Another mini update in the comments, September 28th, 2024. After a little while, she started feeling better and went to bed. She's still asleep, but I can't sleep. All these upcoming updates are just mini updates, essentially. OOP, this morning, she thanked me for helping her last night and told me she knows she's being stupid and said she'd stop and begged me not to say anything. She promised she'd eat more and stop being weird about stuff. I don't know if I should give her the chance or tell anyway. If I gave her a chance and she doesn't go through with it, could something bad happen in that time? I mean, clearly the sister knows she's not supposed to be doing this. Tell her, like, if she doesn't want you to tell, she needs to start eating food, like, with you and showing that she's trying to break this habit. But I think she's too far in, chat. Like, I think you kind of got to tell someone, because at this point, she needs professional help. What do you guys think, chat? Sometimes it's hard for people to just stop when it comes to ED. It's similar to an addiction that way. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking, Sammy. Going right into normal eating after having an ED is like going cold turkey on an addiction. Yeah, then if that's the case, she should absolutely tell a trusted adult just right away. OOP, I sent our cross-country coach a text and asked if we could get smoothies or something later. Hopefully she doesn't think that's weird. I just don't want to talk where my sister might hear. She said she was going to do better, and then she ate carrots for lunch. Okay, yeah. I think you guys are cooking. I don't think this is going to be easy as, oh, I'm done. I will start eating now. Another update. Earlier this afternoon, my sister fainted like a half hour after she took a shower, and she wasn't answering or waking up, and so I freaked out and called an ambulance. And she woke up by the time they got there, but she couldn't see anything at first, and she hit her head. Now she's mad at me and won't let me see her, and my mom's mad because she said we could have just made a doctor appointment if I told her instead of going over her head and making a scene. God, this has to be the dumbest fucking mom I've ever encountered. Like, the fact that people like this can have children is terrifying, bro. I know it's horrible, but I hope they don't let her leave the hospital until she's better. This commenter says you absolutely unequivocally did the right thing. If you are able to, I think it might be a good idea to reach out to the team that is seeing your sister and disclose this information. If you are worried about your relationship with her, you can ask them to please not tell her that you said this. She may very well try to hide her recent weight loss and her eating habits from her doctors, and it is incredibly important that they know about this. They may already suspect it or know it based on her presentation, but having your collateral information will be very helpful. OOP, the doctors at the hospital, you mean? The paramedics asked me what happened and I told them I think she's not eating on purpose and she's lost a lot of weight. Would they know because of that, or would I have to tell them again? Also, the paramedics said her pulse and her blood pressure were low. I don't remember the blood pressure numbers, but her pulse was 41. Holy shit. Yo, chat, that's really low, right? Am I tripping? Yeah, 60 to 100 beats per minute. Don't you drop down to like 40 when you're sleeping? They can see the signs of an ED. Telling them you're concerned that she isn't eating could help them better to give her treatment that she needs. Yeah. I mean, I would just like make sure everybody knows, bro. You know, like obviously they probably communicated it, but just in case they didn't. Another little valuable tidbit here is my mom knows she's here too. I called my dad and he was mad no one told him sooner. Okay, maybe the dad's actually gonna do shit. I don't really have faith in him, but I mean, at this point, I'll take anybody. Comment update September 29th, 2024, the next day. A day and a half from the original post. Here's a commenter who says, I'm a critical care physician. Every once in a while, someone like your sister comes to the ICU with life-threatening complications from starvation. Everything you just described is very alarming. Can't say medically if she has caused any significant or permanent damage to her body. She will reach that point if this continues. I think she needs help far beyond what friends, family, and even her pediatrician can provide. This is the type of thing that requires everything from social workers, psychiatry, psychotherapy, and an experienced pediatrician to really get her what she needs. Is there anyone in her life besides her mom who you can confide in? Could be a coach, a trusted teacher, guidance counselor, religious leader. I know you don't want to go against your sister, but she isn't in a state where she can make rational decisions for herself. She needs your help. OOP, it was a really long night just waiting, but she got admitted and finally said I could come be with her. I told the doctor everything I knew. She won't eat anything. I called my dad and he and my mom are fighting about how she got this way. She said she doesn't want everyone to be mad, but she can't eat. I mean, I just think it's really funny that the dad is all of a sudden in dad mode when like he hasn't been. I mean, obviously I don't know the full story, but what the fuck? This is just like, how do I put this? Everywhere there could be friction in this situation, there's friction. Dad not a part of it, mom brainwashed, not close to any family members outside of the situation. She's 15 years old, so it's not like she has experience or maturity to go about this situation in a way that maybe an adult would. This is just so unfortunate, bro. All right, let me get through more of these smaller updates here. There's a lot of blood labs and they've been trying to convince her to eat, but she either doesn't or she takes it and then flushes it down the toilet. I've been trying to tell them everything I can think of that might matter. I don't understand why she's doing this and I'm starting to feel kind of mad, which I know is not her fault, but it's so hard to watch. Commenter asks, are your parents actually starting to comprehend how serious this is, or do they need another verbal splash of cold water? OOP, my dad does. My mom just keeps pleading with her and suggesting giving her salads because it would be easier. The doctor said she's going to get a tube in her nose if she won't start eating. I'm not sure if she's seen a psychiatrist, but she's seen a few people that I had to leave the room for. So here's an actual updated post from October 2nd, 2024, 5 days since the original post. Title, what does an NG tube feel like? How long does it stay? It's been a couple days and she refuses to eat and keeps trying to pinch her IV, and doctor said she's getting an NG tube. I had questions about everything, but I didn't want to ask them in front of her and scare her or have a doctor think I was being nosy or rude. So I wanted to ask here, since last time everyone was helpful. What does an NG tube feel like? How long does it stay in? Will she be able to mess with it? Why is she just completely refusing everything now? Why doesn't she just eat? When I was researching anorexia, which is what the doctor said she has, I saw it's genetic. Does that mean I could end up like her too? How long do you stay in the hospital for anorexia? I miss her being home with me. Top comment is from Dr. Social Determinants. It can stay for quite a while. I've seen people leave it for days. That said, she can yank it out at great pain to herself. I would estimate she needs weeks to recover physically from how malnourished she is to get her stable enough to not collapse walking out of the hospital. However, I'm truly concerned that she's a suicide risk to herself. As she's shown even in the hospital, her refusal to eat would be dangerous. I suspect she will likely be transferred to an inpatient psychiatric facility to get more intensive therapy and potentially medications to address her other mental health concerns. She's in it for the long haul. That said, even after discharge, she will likely need years of therapy and support. She will always have a lingering struggle with food and body dysmorphia. She has a great sister help support her though, and it will be helpful in her recovery. I don't know the evidence for genetic risks of eating disorders. We know that sometimes family history is important for things like depression and anxiety, but this isn't my specialty. More importantly, it doesn't mean you're doomed to have this. I would instead focus my efforts on the environment, thinking of how to have a healthy relationship with food and your body. I remember your earlier post about her getting upset that you weighed less. She was also getting her mom to support her dieting. You also said your mom constantly says that she's overweight herself and diets despite not needing to. The first thing for your sister is to work through why she's competing with you regarding weight. Honestly though, if your mom constantly says things like she has, then frankly, she needs to stop, as that's so unhealthy to say that it definitely can contribute to body shaming and displeasure at your body image. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the mom needs to grow the fuck up, or you need to like get away from the mom ASAP. I mean, obviously like anorexia is genetic, but I would put money on it not helping that the mom has the attitude that she has, because that's going to bleed to the kids regardless. All right, we got a second updated post, October 5th, 2024, 8 days from the original post. So now she's refusing to sleep because they can't put that in a tube, I guess. But all she does is cry and ask me the same questions over and over, like if I'm mad at her and if I love her. She had a seizure a few days back, which was really scary. I don't understand why she's doing this, and I'm really scared that she's not sleeping on purpose. What happens if you don't sleep? Will you get sick? Can her doctors make her sleep? I don't understand why she keeps refusing to do basic things. She can't go to treatment until she's stable, and she says she wants to leave the hospital, but it's like she's trying to die. I mean, can't they just put you under, chat? Like if you're not sleeping, can't they give you some sleepy medications? Here's a commenter who says, when someone doesn't sleep for a while, it can mess with them, like making them feel confused or really sad, or make it harder for the body to fight off bad things. The doctor knows what is best for her, and I promise that she is in very good hands. They might have ways to get her to sleep, even if it means giving her some meds for a bit. They're watching her closely, trust me, especially since she had a seizure. I know you're scared, and it's totally okay and totally normal to feel that way. Stay close to your sister, even if she seems distant. That can mean a lot for both of you. And don't forget yourself. If you can, talk to some adult you trust, or maybe some of the doctors/nurses. OOP, I think it's making her feel really sad. She cries almost constantly. She keeps biting her lip to keep herself awake, I guess, but it's swollen and bloody. And when I ask her why she's doing this and tell her it's okay to sleep, because I'm here too, she just says she can't. Okay, here's kind of an answer to our question. Commenter, I just want to chime in here and say that your sister is not doing this to herself. She has a serious illness that results in behavioral changes. Your sister's brain registers food as a threat, and she is responding to it in this way. I've seen people with eating disorders force themselves to stay awake because it may burn ever so slightly more calories, or in a hospital are afraid that if they fall asleep, someone may increase feed / add something to them / push a bolus through, etc. That's on some crazy shit, chat. That's so wild. I didn't know that. Some people find it helpful to conceptualize the anorexia as separate to their loved one, or view anorexia as a terrorist who has taken their loved one hostage. Take care of yourself, and if you have capacity, spend time with your sister so you both remember who she is without the illness. OOP, I've been playing cards with her and brought our switches, and we are still doing our book club that we've done since we were in 2nd grade. I pretty much try not to talk about it unless she brings it up because I don't want her to feel like I forgot her. Oh, that's fucking cute. Update post 4, October 12th, 2024. Title of it was, how much medicine do you give patients in the hospital? Is my sister lying? I think I caught my sister lying about stuff again. In her bag, she had a ton of pills all in one of the pockets. I found them looking for her chapstick. I asked her about it, and at first she said it was Tylenol, but I told her it doesn't look like it, and there's more than one kind. Then she said they're just her prescription, but she dropped the bottle and it broke, so I put them in the pocket. But here's the thing, it's different kinds. There's only one kind in the prescription, right? So she's lying? She's just not taking anything they give her, and she's putting it in her bag. I thought in the hospital they only give you your medicine for the day and not the whole prescription. Oh, okay, I see. So she's supposed to be taking these pills, but somehow she's hiding them in this backpack of hers. I don't want to tell on her if she's telling the truth and make her more mad at me and not trust me, but it feels like she's lying. I know some of the medicine is for sleeping and some is for depression. I don't know about the other one. If she's not taking it, could it hurt her? Is it worth telling them about it? I mean, I'm guessing the comments are gonna say, yeah, you should absolutely tell the doctor that your sister, who's supposed to be taking medicine to make her better, is actually not taking that medicine. I mean, granted, we don't know how, but I'm surprised the doctor would like allow for that to happen, bro. Like, this whole story is so heavy, bro. I apologize, chat. Safety over feelings, girly, snitch, snitch, snitch. That's how I feel, Prince of Darkness. Your sister trusting you doesn't matter if she's dying. Oh, that's interesting. Stashing pills can mean she might be planning to take them all at once to unalive herself. Please tell her care team. Yeah, no, that I didn't even think about that, bro. Someone said she needs to be kept under constant observation. A nurse was watching her because she kept messing with her too, but she stopped doing that, I think, so they weren't with her all the time the last couple of days. But I told the nurse anyway about the medicine, and she said she'd take care of it. It feels like the hospital is making her worse. I mean, like I said, chat, like some hospitals are very, like, we like to think all doctors know what they're doing and all nurses know what they're doing because they're supposed to be doing good things, but sometimes they're pretty fucking incompetent, bro. Like, how do you not know that this kid who's supposed to be taking their medicine is hiding hiding the medicine, bro. Another update, October 13th, 2024, the next day after the previous update. The doctor came and asked about the pills. She had prescription water pills that weren't hers, the sleeping medicine they've been giving her, and thinking she's been taking, and a stimulant. She won't say where she got the prescription ones that weren't hers. That's fishy, bro. Low key, what are water pills, chat? Water pills are a common name for diuretics, which are medications that help the body get rid of excess salt and water by increasing urine production. Does that help you lose weight, chat? I'm guessing there's some sort of like weight loss aspect to that, huh? Her mom brought the pills. I was also thinking about that, Sammy. The doctor told her they check all patients' bags periodically if they come for mental health, so thankfully she doesn't know it was me that told on her. I asked why she's doing this and she said she doesn't know and keeps apologizing. I keep switching between being mad and being heartbroken. It's hard to figure out how to feel when it seems like she's doing it herself. I know she's not, but there's nothing tangible like a tumor or bad blood lab to blame, and it's hard to wrap my head around. Sometimes I don't want to be here with her. She told me she's afraid they're going to make her overweight, and I'll always be the prettier one, and I don't know how to respond to that stuff. So I told her I'd like her no matter what, and maybe I can eat a bunch of cake so I can be bigger and she can push me around in a scooter. I just miss her. My parents won't talk about it other than blaming each other. My friends just want all the juicy details. What a terrible position to be in for OP, man. Like, you're 15 years old. You're supposed to be just worried about getting good grades and whether or not the boy you like likes you back. Like, this is heavy shit. Like, I don't even know how I would handle this, and I'm 27 fucking years old, bro. Oh, that's so sad, bro. A commenter basically said they would give her a hug, and OP said I would totally take it. I don't think anyone has hugged me since she got admitted. It's like I'm invisible now. Oh, her parents are so bad, bro. Like, what? Oh, y'all, if you have kids, go hug your kid right now, bro. Commenter talked about maybe her getting therapy, and then OP responds, my mom accused me of making it all about myself. My dad asked if I was going to starve myself too, and if he should buy a second headstone when I asked about therapy. What? This shit is diabolical, man. That's wow. Like, you are fucked, bro. If you're a 15-year-old with parents like this, bro, you are just fucked. That's so infuriating. But I found an online AI thingy that's a little helpful. Here's another update post numbered 5, October 16th, 2024, 3 weeks from the original post. I've been researching anorexia to try and understand and see how I can help her, and I keep seeing articles mentioning how there's a genetic component. At first, I kept thinking that could never happen to me, but my sister thought the same thing, and I don't think anyone tries to be anorexic. I skipped meals a couple days and then tried fasting for a few to see if I could understand why she's doing this, and I guess I sort of felt proud that I was able to stick with the diet, but it didn't feel so good. I would want to slowly kill myself in front of everyone I love over it. Is there a chance this could happen to me too? As in, am I at a higher risk of also ending up like her because of the genetic part? If so, is there anything I could do to prevent it? Watching her is so scary. It's not even her anymore. She's been swallowed up by the anorexia. Wow, and there's just no responses to that. I hope people responded to her and gave her some tips. Like, I don't know. I mean, I would just look at this as a good sign. Like, I think I've talked about this on stream before, but alcoholism runs in my family, but I've never really had addictive tendencies to alcohol. I'm still very cautious around it. Just being safe around it and being aware is very helpful. All right, update post number 6, November 10th, 2024. This is like a month and a half after the original post. Title, can you accidentally make yourself anorexic? A bit over a month ago, my twin sister got diagnosed with anorexia. She's in the hospital now and getting better. I was really afraid when she got diagnosed that I would end up like that because I read it was genetic. I didn't understand at all. I've never cared about my body and I still don't, but I feel like I've been fixating on not becoming anorexic so much that I'm actually creating a problem. I went from 113 to 104 in the last month. I keep getting scared that I'm not eating enough, so then I go and I eat a lot, like panic eating, to try and not undereat. And I eat so much that I feel sick and embarrassed and gross. And at first I was trying to run it off, but then I realized I could just throw it up. Oh no. Oh no, chat. I know it's not good, obviously, and it's super gross, but does this mean I'm accidentally making myself anorexic because of how hard I'm trying to avoid it? I don't care about my weight. I'm not trying to lose weight, but I keep losing it anyway. I'm just stuck in this cycle where I feel scared that I'm not eating enough and I suddenly need to eat everything, but then after I feel so horrible and I want it gone. My mom keeps seeing that I'm eating a ton and telling me I don't have to eat for me and my sister and that I'm going to get diabetes. I want to just throw this mom in prison, lock the door, and then throw away the key. Cause what the fuck, man? I feel like this isn't good, but I don't know who to ask about this because it's going to sound so stupid when my sister was literally almost dead from starving herself to ask if I have an issue. I mean, you definitely do. Now you do. I was gonna say at the beginning that like when the body is stressed and like you're this stressed out, you're probably losing weight and just not eating enough. But I mean, after this paragraph, it's bulimia, right, chat? And then her mom's not helping by making her feel like shit about it. It's like the mom doesn't learn. She's like, oh, hey, one of my children developed an eating disorder with the way that I treated them. I should just keep doing the same thing to my other daughter. Like, I just want to throw rocks at her, bro. So one commenter replied, there are a lot of ways that we can have a difficult relationship with food, and you have been through an enormous amount of stress in the last few months. What you are doing, as you guessed, is not healthy and can become an eating disorder on its own if you don't get help. But the earlier you get help, the better the outcome. Can you ask your mom to get your own therapist? No, because the mom sucks ass, bro. If she's not open to it, could you talk to a social worker at school or maybe at the hospital where your sister is? OOP, I feel kind of stupid asking to see a therapist because I don't want anyone to think I'm copying her or that I want attention. Bro, that is such a sad way to think about it. And it's only because her parents had such a shitty reaction. This kid is 15 and dealing with probably the like most people don't ever have to deal with their sibling having a breakdown like this and it affecting them to the level that it's affecting OP. And like the fact that like her parents aren't able to identify that like, hey, maybe she needs some help here is just irresponsible. Terrible parents, bro. I'm really not, but it's like I can't stop thinking about it and I forgot how I used to eat without thinking. But the place my sister is at had a sibling support group that I go to. Maybe the therapist who leads it could help. Yes, that's the person you go to. That is absolutely the person that you go to and you're like, hey, now I'm having the issues and nobody's taking me seriously. I'm gonna ask tonight if she can recommend anyone I could see and if she'd help me tell my parents. A little update on how the sister is doing. My sister is doing a lot better. She's a lot less angry and she talks about different stuff now. I feel like I completely forgot how I used to eat without thinking before and I forgot to eat and then panic that I'm not eating enough and then I overeat and then I want it gone. I haven't been feeling hungry at all. I'm hoping you're right that when it's further away, it'll be easier. I'm afraid I'm going to make things worse for my sister too if I start doing this. She already told me I look skinnier last time I visited. Oh, that's so sad, bro. Another tiny update on the story. I just wanted to say my sister's okay. She's not worse anyway. She still doesn't really want to get better though, because she doesn't think anything is wrong. But physically, she's getting better, I think. She looks better to me. Also, I'm okay. I figured out how to stop throwing up. I made myself a meal plan, and if I follow it, I don't feel super chaotic and anxious, and I don't end up doing that stuff. I hope they get the help. Like, it just sounds like maybe too. Hopefully, it's not like a snowball effect. It just sounds like they're young and they have no good figures who can tell them that, like, hey, what you're doing isn't healthy, you know? I just found out I ruined my sister's life by being the cause of her breakup with her long-term partner. I feel like such a chain and a burden on her life. I've honestly never felt more like I just want to disappear. How can I talk her into focusing on her own life first? We have a 21 male OP, a 27 female sister, and a 31 male partner of the sister. Original post, April 29th, 2016. I'm a disabled 21-year-old male. I live with my older sister who's 27. I've been a paraplegic since I was a kid as a result of an accident. Our remaining parent, our dad, is pretty old and sick. He's in an old folks home. My sister takes me to see him occasionally. My sister is pretty much my full-time carer. She has her own job, which she works to support both of us. And when she's not on her job, she usually is taking care of me. She's had a very serious boyfriend for 9 years. They've been in a relationship since she was 18. It's always been a very serious relationship as far as I can tell. All right, so she was 18 and he was 22. It's not illegal, but it's messed up. I would argue it's messed up, bro. He was a senior in college, either hitting on a freshman in college or senior in high school. I see where this is going to, bro. I see where this is totally going. It's always been a very serious relationship as far as I can tell. He's a really good guy and he's always been nice to me. He also hasn't shied away from offering financial help once in a while. I know my sister has always dreamt of marriage. We talk about it so much, me and her, ever since we were kids. We do play weddings. She would always imagine the day she would get married, spend hours looking at bridal dresses. Even as an adult, she would fantasize about getting married and spend a lot of the time looking at bridal dresses, talking about her dream wedding, what kind of house she'd like to have, etc. She's had names picked out for her kids since she was a kid herself, and she always stuck with those names. So yeah, she's always dreamed of getting married and having a family for a long time. Her current boyfriend has been with her for so long and has been so good to her, I figured he would always be the one to marry her, and I'd be happy for her. Finally, she'd have someone to take care of her instead of her having to take care of me all the time. Well, that all came crumbling down. She returned home one day a complete mess, crying and pouring her eyes out all over the place. She told me they'd broken up. It was over. She was so sad. Oh, so sad. It was heartbreaking to see. It was like a dagger in my heart to see her crying and upset like that, and I felt so useless because all I could offer were meaningless words. She wouldn't tell me why. I figured she just didn't want to talk about it. After a few days, she still didn't want to talk about it. She was still incredibly upset, crying a lot. I told her I'm her brother. I may be physically disabled, but my heart and mind still work perfectly. She can talk to me about anything. Very reluctantly and with pushing, she opened up about it. She told me her boyfriend had proposed to her. I told her that's excellent. Why did they break up? She had always wanted to get married and had been waiting years for this. She told me they had talked about it and her boyfriend wanted her to move in with him. They would find a separate carer for me to look after. They would still see me occasionally, but I would not visit them and my sister would no longer be my carer at all. My sister told me she couldn't accept that and that was the offer on the table as her boyfriend wanted it. She said she couldn't accept it. They couldn't reconcile their different ways and they broke up. I told her she's crazy. She should have chosen her boyfriend. I know she loved him so much and he was crazy about her. She should have gone and gotten married. She can't stay tied to me forever. She should live her own life and have her own family. She was still crying heavily and she told me she realized that she would never be able to have that. All that stuff she wanted as a kid, to be a bride, have a wedding, have a family, none of it would ever happen. She would be taking care of me forever. I mean, that's just such a big burden to put on the brother. Because, like, you could find someone you could, like, I don't know how, like, how did this not come up? They've been dating for 9 years. How did it not come up that, like, hey, if we get married, my brother is part of the package? You know, like, how do you get that deep into a relationship without bringing up, like, this? Well, okay, I guess maybe he hasn't always lived with her. Yeah, okay, because the timeline, she probably wasn't taking care of him when she was 18. How old was he when she was 18? 6 years, so he was 12. Okay, I guess that makes more sense. Like maybe he was living with her and getting taken care of by her for like 3 years. So actually, I might have to rescind that because it could have just been something that they kind of surprise shottied on the relationship that the boyfriend never knew that was going to be his responsibility. I mean, she's still so young. Like I'm 27. Hopefully I'm going to find somebody who loves me. Like I think that part is a little unfair. She didn't say it, but she kind of blames OP here. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. I insisted to her telling her she didn't need to take care of me forever. She should live her own life. She said no, that's what she wants. That's the way it has to be. She would have it no other way. When I kept insisting, she said no, that's it. She's in charge. She makes her own life decisions and I should stop telling her how to live her life. She got angry at me and I quickly apologized. She said it's okay, but I could tell she was really upset and in a bad mood. Why is she doing this to herself? I don't understand. Doesn't she see that I don't want her to sacrifice herself like this? Why did she just give up her boyfriend of 9 years like that? She loved him so much and he loved her, so why did she just push him away like that? Why is she hurting herself like that? I don't want her to be hurting herself just for my sake. I never asked her to make this sacrifice of herself. I told her I wouldn't mind getting another carer for me. She said no, it's her, it has to be her, it's her job, it's her duty to me and to our family. She has to take care of me always. She wouldn't have it any other way, no matter how much I tried to reason. I hate myself so much right now. I have never hated being disabled more than right now in my life. I feel like a baby or something, like a useless animal. I feel like a ball and chain, like a burden tying her down to the ground and preventing her from living her own life. All I want her to do is to be happy and live her life and be happy and beautiful on her wedding day like she's always wanted. Not stuck forever taking care of her disabled brother. I wish I could just die to free her of her burden. Damn. Wow, chat. If it isn't another heavy story. Yikes, dude. Just yikes, man. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't seriously considered just unaliving myself so she could finally be free and pursue her own life. I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. I know she'd mourn for me for a while, even a few years, but after that, she'd move on and get married and live her life like she always wanted. It might be the only way she ever knows true happiness. I tried to convince her, but she seems determined to bog herself down like this. I don't understand. She's not being reasonable. She's not looking out for what's best for herself. Why is she doing this? How can I get her to focus on herself and her own life? Please, guys, help me out. How can I talk some sense into her? How can I convince her to put her needs ahead of my own and to go focus on her life, mainly so she can live the life she's always wanted instead of being chained down to me? How can I convince her of this? Please help. I feel so desperate and sad for her. The one thing he needs to think about as well is like, as much as he doesn't want her to do this, I think there's the other side where like, if this is the hill that she wants to die on, you're not ruining her life. This is the life she wants to live. And she just unfortunately found somebody who that wasn't compatible with. Like, there are probably plenty of guys out there who would be okay and would understand, hey, if we get married, I'm not just marrying you, I'm marrying the fact that we are taking care of your brother, because that is, call it whatever you want, like familial duty. That is a position that you have put upon yourself. And until you decide that you don't want that position anymore, which could be never, I am also supportive of you in that position. There are plenty of people out there like that. Unfortunately, this guy wasn't like that. And I can't even really knock that guy. Like, especially when I laid out the timeline, like this might have never been on the table in their relationship until it was. Some people don't want to do that their entire life. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong if they didn't sign up for it. You know, they have the option to not sign up for it. But yeah, she's still young. She could find somebody to marry still. For OP, I think all you can do is just let her know now that like, if you ever decide that you want to close the door on this and just get me someone else to take care of me, like I am okay with it. I hold no malice. I hold no regrets. I want you to do your own thing. But to me, it's like your sibling is like the best sibling that's ever existed. A sibling who's literally like, here's the love of my life who proposed to me, but they said my brother doesn't have a place in my life and therefore I'm not going to actually marry him. Like, bro, hold on to that sister tight. That is the best sister in the world, bro. They should do some family therapy because I think there's a lot here that they need to discuss and work out with maybe a impartial mediator where they can talk through this so that A, OP understands better and doesn't feel so guilty. And also B, maybe the sister can communicate her feelings better. I think you guys need to be able to work out those feelings together. Update May 1st, 2016. I've talked it all over with my sister and we are both feeling much better and brighter now. And we agree things may have turned out for the best. I now realize, after my sister explained it to me, that he was not right for her, even though they had been together so long. I guess the length of their relationship had left me with a false impression. Firstly, as my sister explained it, it seems he didn't say I couldn't visit at all, as I had thought she meant, but that I just couldn't visit whenever I wanted to. They'd set times and schedules for when I could visit to ensure I wasn't over all the time, interrupting and interfering with their lives. However, it seems my sister didn't like this at all. She said she realized her boyfriend had a problem with me and wanted to place some distance between her and me, and she wasn't okay with that at all. I told her I thought she loved him. She said she thought she did too, but she knows her priorities in life and she is old enough and mature enough to be able to decide what she wants from life and what her priorities are. I told her I thought she'd always wanted to get married and have children and a family ever since she was young. She explained to me she still does to a certain extent, but only if the conditions are right. She said that she was a different person when she was younger. Now that she's older, her ideals and priorities have changed. She said that if she does get married, it's basically like what one commenter described as a package deal. I'd have to be included in that family too, and I'd have to live with them and be a part of their family full time. She said if any potential husband couldn't accept that, then he could get stuffed and she didn't want him. That's basically what she thinks of her now ex-boyfriend, and she said she feels much more positive about her future now that he's gone. She said while she was with him, she was always feeling unsure about what the future held in relation to her and me, but now that she's made her firm decision, she knows she'll never let go of me. I asked her, what if this means that she'll never get married? What if it means that she never ends up finding a guy who's okay with all this and is willing to settle down with her with me in the fray? She said if that's the case, then so be it. As she explained it, she basically said I'm her family now. I exist and I'm the most important thing to her. She won't sacrifice me for a hypothetical husband and hypothetical children who don't yet exist, but may one day. She said priority number one for her will always be me and taking care of me throughout my life and disability. She couldn't imagine living her life without it. I asked her, but didn't she feel like she was severely limiting herself by chaining herself to me? Didn't she feel like she was severely restricting her options in life and what she could become? She explained that her years with me and taking care of me had helped form part of her identity. Taking care of me now is part of her identity and character. It's one of the things she lives for. I found that amazing, but she said she could have it no other way. I provide to her as much as she provides to me, she said, and perhaps even more. I told her she was exaggerating, but she insisted it was absolutely true. She explained how the mere fact of her looking after me and her taking care of me day in, day out brings so much joy and happiness to her life, She doesn't know how she could ever live without it. And to her, it's so much more important than the possibility of having a husband or children. This is the redeeming paragraph of the stream, bro. Like, this is so fucking cute. This is the wholesome part that we needed, bro. I found it difficult to wrap my head around that. I joked that I really can't imagine that it's always that fun, especially when she's, say, wiping shit from my ass or something. She just laughed and explained how sometimes something that can superficially seem gross, disgusting, or painful can still be beautiful and cherished when you look at the love involved. She used the example of a mother giving birth. After 9 months of sickness and swollen body, she has her body ripped open, there's blood everywhere, screaming and crying, and it's the most intense physical pain of her life. But at the end of it all, it's still beautiful because it's an act of love, and she endures all that pain to bring to life someone whom she will love forever. So yes, even acts like wiping shit from my ass, as gross and disgusting as it may seem to some, is in of itself an act of love, and an example of how much she, as a sister, cherishes me as her brother, and the lengths she will go to as a result of that relationship. And that, I think, is beautiful and true love. So now I have a completely new outlook on her and our life, and it's much more positive, and I no longer see myself as a burden or a chain. She helped me realize my own self-worth and value. I'm not just some disabled guy in a wheelchair that needs help. I am a brother, and I provide love, friendship, and value to this amazing, beautiful, kind-hearted woman I am so proud to call my sister. I no longer have any thoughts about ending my life at all because I realize how much I am worth to her and how much I mean to her and how much it would hurt her if I do that. And I could never bear to do that. So I just thought I'd share that update with you all after all those incredibly warm and supportive comments you gave me were so uplifting. I can honestly say, even though I may be physically disabled, I consider myself to have this amazing gift because I am blessed with love, and this love is the most amazing thing in the world. I can't imagine living without it. All right, that was wholesome. That ended perfectly, chat. I mean, they didn't need a mediator, but it sounded like they just communicated. They communicated what positions they were both in and got on the same page because they were clearly not on the same page. And it ended well. It ended very wholesomely. We love a nice pretty bow on the top of an updated Reddit story. I've been in love with my best friend since I first met him. It's not going away, and I don't know how to deal with it because I have no idea if he likes me, and it's stopping me from meeting someone else. We got a female 23 OP, a male 21 best friend, and a 5-year update. Original post, March 23rd, 2019. Before we get into the last story, if you've gotten this far in the video, I'm guessing you're enjoying it, and if you want to enjoy all my future uploads, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos in the future. Also, if you'd like to be here live for those Reddit reads, go and check out my Twitch. Link should be in the description. I usually go live every Thursday and Sunday reading Reddit stories from Am I the A-Hole and Best of Redditor Updates. Join us for those lives and even get a chance to be featured in videos just like this one. We met about 2 years ago and I instantly crushed on the guy. I honestly thought our first few nights out were dates up until the point he went on a rant about a girl he had a crush on after a few beers. At that point, my thought process was pretty much, okay, no dates, got it, and moved on with the intent of friendship. Except, funny thing, turns out he checks all my boxes. I've never gotten along with anyone this well. People are shocked to find out, or, well, not anymore, but up until about a year after we became friends, we haven't known each other for years and years. We have the same humor, like the same games and TV shows, agree on politics, want the same things in life, all well enough to get along, but still with enough differences that we can have conversations about it. We discover bands together. We help each other with work and writing papers. I call him when I'm sad, and we both think it feels weird not to see each other for a week. Problem is, I'm completely head over fucking heels in love with the man, and it is starting to get to the point where I don't know what to do. I thought it'd go away, but every time I meet him, it's like I'm falling all over again. My friends have gone from teasing me about it to shooting me pitying looks whenever his name is brought up. My sister wants me to just stop seeing him. I go a week without talking to him, and I think I'm starting to get over it, but whenever I see him again, it all comes rushing back. I don't know what to do, it hurts, and it's not fun anymore. I've been on dates with some amazing guys who liked me, but my feelings for my friend is stopping me from falling for someone else. It's starting to feel pathetic, and at this point, I see no good option. He's my best friend, the best I've ever had, and I just don't want to lose him. At this point, I think asking him out would achieve that, since it's been so long since we met. I know the only way, for me personally, to get over someone is to stop seeing them, but I don't want to lose my best friend. The finishing touch, keeping me on the hook, are these looks he gives me. I've had other friends confirm he does this because I was honest to God starting to think I was losing my fucking mind. Whenever we're out in a group, at a party, or the pub, whenever I look over at him, it seems like he's always looking at me. and these eye contacts last way too long to be normal. Like a good 6 to 7 seconds of us just looking at each other across the table or the room or the bar, and he does this little smile. I've never seen it on him in any other situation. I don't know what it means. I have no idea why we do this or how it came to be, but it's the final fucking nail in this coffin of hopelessness I'm buried in right now. I don't know if I'm crazy and overinterpreting things, which is very likely, or if I should just give it a shot and ask him out, even though it might ruin the friendship, or just stop seeing him, or to just carry on and hope this feeling goes away at some point in the distant future. I'm so frustrated I want to cry, and have cried a lot. I just don't know what to do here. All right, chat. This is where I gotta suck my own dick a little bit. Couch Skittle's in here, right? Couch Skittle, say it for chat. How good am I at relationship advice? Come on. He's literally the reason I asked my girlfriend out. Thank you, Couch Skittle. This is the advice I gave Couch Skittle that has resulted in Couch Skittle having a girlfriend right now. It's much worse to live in this like wishy-washy, do they like me, do they not? I'm trying to get over him, but at the same time, I can't stop seeing him. When you're in that weird middle area where you don't know how they feel about you, you just have to get everything out on the table to figure out what to do next. Because right now there are a bunch of questions that you don't have the answers to, and you need the answers to them before you can move on. Go up to that motherfucker and be like, hey bro, we keep having these moments. I have feelings for you. I need to know, do you have feelings for me, so that I know whether or not I should pursue this or if I need to get over this. Either they're like, oh my God, I'm hopelessly in love with you. Thank you. I didn't have the balls to ask you out. Boom. You now have a boyfriend, and you can now move on from just being best friends to lovers. Or they tell you, nah, bro, it's all in your head. You're tripping. I don't like you. That's when you're like, cool, so I need to distance myself, because I truly think, chat, that's the only way to do it. I was head over heels in love with this girl my first semester, my freshman year, and the only way that I got through it was I stopped hanging out with her. Because every time you see them, the feelings come pouring in, but then also you want to do nice things for them because you have a crush on them, but then also they don't have a crush on you, so you start to feel bad about yourself. You're like, why am I doing this? And then they're talking about people that they like. They're talking about some girl or some guy that they're into. It's just like, bro, you gotta disconnect. I'm actually really good friends with that girl still, because I disconnected. I lost my feelings for her. We reconnected, and now we're pretty decent friends. I could literally text her right now and be like, what's going on in your life? That's what you have to do, bro. Listen, it sucks losing your best friend, don't get me wrong, but being in the state that you're in now sucks even more, period. Update November 13th, 2024. 5.5 years later. Hello, a little over 5 years ago, I made a post on the subreddit looking for advice on how to handle my incredibly painful, unrequited love for my best friend. I'd honestly forgotten about this until making a password reset on another account and saw Tobes13 among my email search results. But as I read through the post, I remember how very comforting and terrifying the responses to my post were, being a more or less unanimous ask him out that scared my ass to death. Sorry that this isn't really a happy update, but I don't know. It felt weird seeing something I wrote in what feels like a different life, and the people who responded seemed so genuinely kind and trying to help. I feel like I weirdly owe some kind of update, especially for that one dear sweet commenter whose account is now deleted. I so wish I'd have a way to reach out to them, because that was one of the most thoughtful comments I think I've ever gotten. And just to recap, with hindsight, I really was in love with this man, and I had been for about 2 years, like full 9 yards in love. Struggling to breathe when he talked about someone else, but still cheering him on because he deserved happiness levels of in love. If that sounds a bit like obsession to you, then that's because it probably was. The thing about unrequited love, the thing that really sucks about it, is that it's incredibly hard to move on from, but until you do move on, your brain keeps obsessing about it to the point where it can be impossible to get anything done. It had been 2 years of that when I made that post. 2 years of pining and pain and an ever-growing pile of crushed hopes. And I think I was going a little bit insane. Constantly swinging between butterflies and love highs when I was with my friend, and the crushing feeling of rejection every time he'd say goodbye. And the obsession over things like how long he'd look at me, how long he'd let a hug last, how fast he'd respond to my texts, things which could either make or break my entire day, depending on what the answer was. On to the actual update. About a month and a half or so after I made that post, still trying to hype myself up to actually ask this man out, I accidentally became a head organizer for an event at the university I was studying at for the moment. Long story short, the person managing me was not kind. I was extremely overworked from the event on top of writing a thesis. I was equally stressed out in my private life due to the whole situation with my best friend, and I ended up going through a pretty severe case of burnout. Add on to everything that I'd developed an addiction to alcohol to try to handle everything. and was also experiencing what was most likely a drug-induced paranoid psychosis, and I was a mess. I ended up moving back in with my dad in September and spent about a year doing nothing but sleeping, crying, playing Skyrim, and going to rehab and therapy. Start of 2021, I went back to school and slowly recovered. I've been sober since 2020. The paranoia hasn't completely gone away, but it's more manageable. I used to think my landlord listened to me through a radon measurement device, and at least that's over. And I think I've got a work-life balance figured out that helps me not overwork myself or go into free time lethargy because I've got too much time off. It was long and painful, but I did it. Damn, bro. OP's really going through the ringer, man. It sounds like whether or not her best friend had a crush on her was the least of her problems, bro. If you're wondering where my best friend was in all of this, I honestly don't know. I went back to look at our text messages, and from what I can see, he tried to call me a few times in early September. I didn't respond, and then nothing until around Christmas when he wondered if I wanted to meet up sometime. I said yes, and then never followed through. He hasn't texted me since January 4th, 2020. Now, to be clear, I don't blame him for not reaching out more. My non-responding is what killed that friendship. I know because it also killed every other friendship I had at the time. I don't know, alcohol addiction, deep depression, and crippling paranoia may be a fair explanation to one day stop responding to any of your friends, but I still deeply regret those choices. If I were to make a relationships post today, it would be on how the fuck you word an apology after behavior like that 5 years down the road. Sorry, I feel like this is starting to become a journal. I'm gonna stop my reflections there. So, about my love for my best friend, with some years of hindsight and therapy behind me, I don't think I was in love with him. I think I was in love with the idea of him, and I think I was obsessed for sure. But looking back, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think a part of me really liked the fact that this was a person who so clearly wasn't interested in me. Genuinely, if he was, that would shock me to find out, because he spent 2.5 years ignoring the, in hindsight, very obvious attempts I made to deepen the relationship. Some examples include, and these are all bullet points, him saying he's waiting for the right person, me responding, sometimes I feel like I already have. Do you ever feel like that? And him going, nah, I don't think so. It shouldn't be funny, but it's kind of funny, chat. Not funny the way that he treated her, but more funny that she wasn't like that's very telling. I can read that and just be like, oh yeah, sis, he's definitely not into you. You gotta move on. Me following that up with, maybe you just don't know, the heart is weird sometimes, and him going, I'm pretty sure I'd know. One time we talked about why people fall in love, and I genuinely tried to convince him a deep friendship was all you needed, while he insisted that there needed to be a level of sexual attraction as well. I tried to get him to do that 36 questions that will make you fall in love thing with me. I kept trying to find excuses to hold his hand. Rest in peace, my palm reading career. You were nothing but a thinly veiled attempt at finger touching. And him resolutely never going along with it. Ditto, but with hugs, arm touching, and sitting just a little too close whenever we went out so I could hear him better, which he normally responded to by going, we should go outside so you can hear better if it's too loud in here. Very thoughtful, but very much not what the goal was. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's a dumb man. I doubt it, but one night when we were alone in my apartment after a club event, after a particularly long shared look, I asked him what he was thinking about in that kind of, I don't want to break the illusion, soft voice you put on when you're really fucking close to someone you like. And his response was, I don't know if I agree that Gertz's metaphor about blinking makes that much sense, actually. What's Gertz's metaphor about blinking? I mean, either way, that's probably not what you should be thinking about. For context, we bickered about that earlier in the night since we just read some article about it in class. I did not expect it to make a comeback at that point. Another night when we were out together and there had been a lot of looks and closely leaning in, laughing together, and he pulls me to one side by the hand to talk to me about something, heart racing, only to ask me if I knew if one of my friends is single, because he thinks she's really fucking cute and might have been looking at him all night. Yeah, girl, you were so far in the friend zone. You were not gonna dig yourself out of that one. You could have told me this in the beginning. I would have been like, girl, you don't even need to ask him out. You just need to stop hanging out with him. Especially with all the other shit she had going on in her life. Like, girl, this is not something you should be putting your energy towards. Looking back, at least some of this stuff is sort of funny. I have no idea if he knew or knows now that I was in love with him. I wouldn't be surprised if some of my old friends eventually told him, but of course he's never reached out about it. But yes, I think I kind of like the security of this person who clearly didn't like me back. Not that I was doing well with the heartache, but there's a certain kind of fucked up comfort that comes from pining for someone who doesn't want you back. Like the highs I'd get when I got something that felt like confirmation, made up for the lows of crying in my apartment stairway when I got home after a denial. Today, I mostly just feel so bad for him and ashamed of myself. Regardless of whether he knew or not, my behavior was pretty fucking creepy. And I'm trying to cling to the fact that he seemed to at least continue wanting to be friends as some indicator that he never felt creeped out or uncomfortable. And in the end, once I did get the distance between us, the feelings went away after some 6 months or so. My therapist recommended not meeting this person again for my own sake, and by early 2020, I wasn't so painfully in love anymore. A while later, I'd end up meeting a guy I clicked with just as much who actually liked me back and showed it. We've been together for almost 3 years now and are talking about starting to try for kids at some point soon. He'd like us to get married first, but is also insisting he wants to be the one to propose, so I'm just walking around waiting for the day. Even if it's not a huge surprise or secret, he just wants to get that moment of going down on one knee, and who am I to deny him? Wait, hold on. I totally glazed over the fact that this paragraph basically said I was right. 2 for 2, baby. I may be single, but God, I can give some good relationship advice. I'm slowly growing old and boring. I'm sober. I go to my boring, stable, middle career 9-to-5 job. I save for my retirement and traveling on the summers. I help my dad out on his farm. I crochet little animals for my newborn niece. I come home to a man who plays his silly video games. I play my silly video games. We go for walks and we go to the museum and bicker about whether to get fat on takeout or not. I have some regrets about how my early 20s ended up playing out, but by God, I wouldn't want to go back. If there's any takeaway from this story, I think it goes to show that, like, no matter what happens, there can be a happy ending. Like, especially with the prior story of the girl being like, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend. I'm never gonna get married. It's just like dramatic. It's just so dramatic. Like, you can still have a happy ending, even if the happy ending that you have in mind right now isn't going to happen. She found a man who actually liked her. That's a dub.